And we're back for another Cardinals Nest on HBC TV 25, where all we do is talk St. Mary's athletics. I'm Dean Beckman, the faculty athletic representative for the Cardinals. Donnie Netto is our sports information director, and today we're going to be featuring, highlighting cross country. So we have Niels Anderson, our head coach for cross country and track and field, though today we'll focus on cross country a little bit more. But before we get to Niels and cross country, Donnie, huge accomplishment over the weekend for our volleyball team. We mentioned on last week's show that they had a big match on Friday night against a ranked team, St. Ben's, and the Cardinals took care of business, pulled off the upset.
Yeah, that was a huge win for the Cardinals. They lose the first set and come back and win 3 straight to knock off St. Ben's, ranked 5th in the country. So obviously an outstanding performance from the Cardinals. Lillian Braun, one of the reasons that they were successful then, as well as Saturday against Concordia, was named Libero Setter of the Week by the MIEC. So a great congratulations to Lillian for her performance, and really a very important weekend for the Cardinal volleyball team. That puts them right back in the playoff hunt as we get into the stretch run here of conference matches. And really, it was one of those weekends where they dropped the first set against St. Ben's, come back and rattle off 3 straight to beat them. And then the next day, they fall behind 2-0 against Concordia and rattle off 3 straight wins to win 3-2. So really kind of shows a lot of progress with this team, and the fact that with all of our teams, there is no give up in these individuals and these teams, and they're going to battle to the end. And they came away with 2 huge wins over the weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. So we wanted to make sure we mentioned that. And Niels, I know volleyball isn't your sport necessarily, but I would think that kind of success in the athletic program kind of spills over to the other sports.
Right. Well, I've had some buy-in to the volleyball program for the last few years, with Brandy Blattner being my niece and everything, of course. So, and we're all Cardinals, and we all root on each other's successes, and I think that as a collective whole, that kind of success just hopefully is infectious within the whole department. So.
And you really see that. You see that with all of our teams, and really, Niels, for cross country is a great example. We have one home meet, and at that meet, you see St. Mary's fans, students, faculty, parents, alumni that are there for that. There's a section in the race where it's just lined with people, and 90% of them are either from St. Mary's, or they're going to St. Mary's, or their parents.
Right.
And it does show that even in a sport like cross country, where it's harder for fans to kind of get involved, that we do have a great backing.
Yeah, you go to any cross country meet and you'll really be, I think, in awe of the participation. And we, I'm going to speak on behalf of us cross country coaches out there. We really think we have the best participation sport as far as a fan is, where you actually get involved. You're right in their face. You're running to the next spot where they are. So you're actually an active participant. You're not just a fan sitting in the stands cheering when something good happens. You have to, if you want to be effective as a fan, you have to run to the next spot. So, us old guys trying to, I'm trying to get to that spot, and I'm huffing and puffing and trying to yell when they go by and catch my breath, and then you run to the next spot. It's really thrilling, and anytime I go to a cross-country meet, all these memories just flood through me, and I get really emotional. I'm very emotionally invested in the, how well they race, but it also creates this nostalgia of many, many pounds ago. That's how I tell time now, of how many pounds ago it was. Yeah, exactly. So anyway, you go to cross-country meet, and you see just a ton of passion. We were just at Eau Claire this last meet, and I had a chance to look around and observe, and I would estimate that there were 20 plus teams, and so many parents and grandparents and all of the alumni support. I would estimate that there were 2,000 to 3,000 people at this one race. Now again, that's for 20 teams, so that kind of spreads it out over all of those people, but it's a huge event. You're running through a wall of people that are all screaming and yelling and cheering, and it really is.
It's exciting.
It's super exciting. And so obviously, not too many people make it out to cross country meets that aren't associated, But if you ever have that opportunity, definitely take advantage of that.
You know, I find one of the things, as long as we're just talking about many moons ago and whatnot, but, you know, I call myself a casual runner. I can
Right.
run a 5K and I run daily, but to see what these athletes do and what they put themselves through on every single race, I mean, when you watch them come out at the beginning of the race, it's like almost like smiles on their faces.
Right.
But by the time they're done, they have given you everything they possibly
Absolutely.
can. And so from a coaching standpoint and from a former athlete standpoint, how do you continually do that? Because that's a painful process every race day.
Right, and what's funny is, this is when Roger Bannister broke the 4-minute mile, they stuck a microphone. He was the first one to ever do that. And they said, "How does it feel?" And he had one of the greatest lines of all time, and this explains your answer. He said, and this is 5 seconds after he had just done what no human was physically supposed to be able to do. They said, "How does it feel to have finally done it?" And he said, "It wasn't worth it." It's just one of the great lines because he goes, "It wasn't worth it because it hurt so bad." And to then go do a race the next week and do it again, that's what you're putting yourself through, is the ultimate agony. It's unlike any other sport because you have to go 100% of what you're available at that moment. And so you get done and you've dissipated your entire energy reserves all throughout the course of an entire 8K or 6K, depending. And so you see, it's so funny to see that fresh, if you're a photographer, you want to be taking the pictures at the beginning of the race. The ones at the end show a different picture,
Lots of pain.
a real life different.
You know,
picture.
and I've seen, having been here many moons, many pounds.
Well, you know, he judges it by pounds. Donnie judges time by strands of hair on his head.
Oh, well, there you go. Yeah, right.
But
Exactly.
you know, I remember, and it wasn't that long ago that you guys competed every weekend. It was
Right.
a
That was
Saturday
my
race,
experience.
and then you ran again the next Saturday. But
Absolutely.
now it's really seeming like more teams, especially us. It's an every other weekend kind of
Correct.
thing. Talk a little bit about that change from.
Yeah, it's a physiology understanding that really, if you race every week, you're really missing out on these training cycles that we want to be going through. And a true training cycle is like 12 days, and you know we stretch it to 14 because we compete on those. And so you're really allowing for you're always looking holistically at the big end product of, can I get to where I'm supposed to get to at the very end? And there's only really 1 or 2 races that truly matter. The conference meet is where you determine your conference placing. Nothing else preceding that matters. So it's unlike every other team sport where your volleyball games, they all matter to get into the conference championship. Well, every team in cross country gets to compete. So it's really a matter of, how do I physically prepare you the best? And it used to be that we just ground you in and just beat you senseless. And that was my experience in college as a cross country runner. And I personally liked that. But now that I've done all my research and read all the articles and seen the reasons why it makes sense to go every other week, it's really just a physical demand that going to the well is what we call it in our world. It's not something you should do every week. And a lot of times you'd see people fail or fall short or not meet their end of season objectives because they had to go to the well one too many times, and you're only really given that opportunity a few times in a season.
So how do you adjust the practices and the meets so that they are peaking at the right time? What is sort of the strategy?
Yeah, so, and this is probably a good opportunity to bring in Nick Larson's name. Nick Larson is our assistant cross-country coach. He's really done a lot of the putting together of what the season and how it all unfolds looks like. But basically, we do everything off of percentiles. And so this particular week is 100% of their max mileage for the whole season. So they'll be doing, if they're running 50 miles a week, then they're on a 50-mile week, that would be kind of in the middle of our group. We have kids that are doing 60 and even 70 miles a week, if you can kind of imagine that kind of mileage, but they have to do a couple times a day. And so then as soon as we, and obviously there's different types of workouts that we're doing at threshold paces and lactate paces and all these little fun parts that are in our tool shed that we kind of pick from as far as what is important and when. And we have this big umbrella of the whole season and how it looks holistically. And then all of a sudden when it gets to those really peak moments, then we're backing off on some of that training allowing that training to take effect, really emphasizing the rest portion, which, we'll do a really hard workout on Monday, and then Tuesday needs to be a recovery day, so it's that hard, easy, but then we can really scope that in the context of the larger season as well.
Now, can it vary by individual? Because I'm sure you've had some student athletes get injured during the course of the season, so they might be on a different level.
Right. We kind of anticipate that there's going to be some nagging types of things like shin splints or some sore muscles, aches and breaks and things like that. But as long as they're within the parameters of they're still able to work their way through that, we kind of anticipate that they're going to miss a day or two here and there. And we almost build that into the whole program to kind of say, we know that you're beat up right now. We're going to put you in the pool. We're going to put you on the bike. We're going to have you take a day off. Because a lot of these kids run 7 days a week and for an entire season, and that we understand that in our world, in our training, it's the continuity of being able to do it without stop for not just a season, but year after year after year, where you'll see that continual progression and improvement. And it's long breaks that are from injuries that really are the things that sideline you. So it's navigating all of those pieces to say, we think that you're on the verge of either getting hurt or kind of you've overexhausted yourself, and so we really need to step back. And so you have the big umbrella, you have the big scaffolding that you're trying to build, but you're also doing exactly what you said, which is individualizing each and every person, making sure that one of the things we're really proud of in our program is that we are talking to our kids every single day, every single practice. Give us where you feel you're at, let us know, communicate. We don't want the tough guy attitude, which is a football thing. Like, I'm good, coach, I can do it.
Put me in.
Yeah, put me in. This is a totally different situation. We want to get you to the final race, which is the one that matters the most, or really only matters. And we want you to have done that successfully in all the ways that you can.
That's interesting, because I was just going to ask that question about, are they being honest with you in terms of, are you hurting or are you, so
they're getting better at
that. Because it's hard, because you want to compete. I mean, that's what athletes are all about, is competing, and that honesty of, my legs are bothering me is not an easy thing for some of them to do.
100%.
Before we take a quick break, and when we come back from the break, we're going to get into the individual teams and some of the runners.
Sure.
But wanted to ask you about these races now that are set up to do a marathon in less than 2 hours. I mean, it's unbelievable.
I was up from 1 till 3 a.m. on Friday night because I had to watch it. I took a nap,
crazy.
And I said,
Did you ever think you'd see something? You brought up Roger Bannister before, but I mean,
this
the
is on
stuff
that
that they're doing now is just unreal.
It's on the same scale. Distance running doesn't normally get a lot of coverage, but this blew up. It was really exciting. I'm excited to talk about that for sure.
Yeah.
So. I don't know if I can.
I guess I just want to know your thoughts on it. No, it's kind of a new thing. Right?
You think about a high school miler on the guy's side who can run a 4:33. We would be ecstatic if that person chose to come to St. Mary's.
Right.
He did it 26 times in a row.
If
we had a female who could run a 68-second quarter mile, we'd be kind of looking at them as a sophomore or something like that. Yeah. He did 100 of those in a row.
It is.
And he did it with a smile on his face at the end.
Right. Well, it was one of those where the microphone was right there too.
Yes, absolutely.
Immediately. Now the reason that it's quote unquote not a record was because he had pacers, correct?
Correct. Yes.
And that certainly makes a difference in your running.
And he had that green line that just said, just stay right there. He didn't have to think. He didn't have to. He had all these people encouraging him. I mean, there were tens of thousands of people there yelling and screaming. It was one of the neatest things. I couldn't go to sleep. I stayed up from 1 till 3. Right. And then afterwards, I'm walking around the house trying to tiptoe, but just going, this is one of the most incredible moments I've ever seen. It broke all the human, it's so close. Endurance records and just things that it gives people hope that, someone could do this in a race-like situation.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, as long as we're pushing the envelope here of our first break, but I wanted to, we talk a lot about alumni and what they're doing, and your timer at your event this year, Jim Barrett.
Yep.
ran an Ironman
Yes.
just last week, I believe.
Yeah,
last
right.
weekend.
Yep.
Outstanding performance, Jim. Congratulations! If nothing more,
Yeah,
it's just
absolutely
impressive
incredible.
what he has done. He's trying to run a marathon in every state,
Yep,
and he's
he's-
getting
I think
pretty
he's
darn
got
close.
34
But
of
to
them
run
done, yeah.
to run a marathon, and the interesting thing about that Ironman is they had to take out the water element because it was too cold or too something. But so they doubled the bike.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so I mean, it was
Yeah.
another incredible performance. What
Yeah,
these people are
200 miles
doing.
of biking.
Right.
And then throw a marathon on
And then
at
throw a
the end.
marathon
Yeah,
on
why
top
not?
of that. I
Yeah.
mean, Jim, congratulations! Just an
Yeah.
outstanding job, and an alum
Yeah.
of St. Mary's. So
super active in our cross-country track and
yeah,
field world.
so-
He times all of our events. He's amazing.
And his
Yeah.
wife Jenny also
Yep,
an alum.
yep.
and
She's very supportive and
Yeah,
does a lot
absolutely.
of that too. So.
Yep.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll get to the specifics of the women's and men's cross country teams at St. Mary's. That's next on HBC's Cardinals Nest.
Be afraid, very afraid.
We're back!
On Halloween Wars,
Looks evil.
6 teams of pumpkin carvers, bakers, and sugarotters battle to outspook the judges. Whose creations are doomed,
Are you kidding me right now?
and who will get out alive? All new Halloween Wars, Sunday night at 9 on Food Network.
Get ready to rock the block. 4 top designers, 4 suburban homes. The renovation showdown is on.
This is my turn. I don't like to lose. This is gonna be fun.
I'm gonna crush the competition.
It's time to rock the block!
Rock the Block. Series premiere Monday, October 21st at 9 on HGTV.
Back on the Cardinals Nest, Niels Anderson, the head coach for cross country and track and field at St. Mary's, joining us today. And Donnie, I know you want to ask Niels a question right away about his assistant.
yeah,
coach.
and, being the head coach of both track and field and cross country certainly is a
Yeah.
daunting task. But you've got some great assistants, and I know Nick Larson is your number one assistant on the cross country side. Talk a little bit about what he brings to the table, and really the importance that he is with this program.
Yeah, really, honestly, being the head coach of 6 sports, which is what I am. You got cross country, indoor track, outdoor track, both genders. It's more than one person can do for sure. And Nick came in and has been here this year and last. And really, I have the utmost confidence that where we are today and the building that we're doing and the culture that we're setting is just a springboard to future successes. He literally does just about everything. I get to come here and hang out with you guys, and I'm like, Nick, you should be the one that's here, not me, because he is an all-time hardworking guy. I said, Nick, what do you do for fun? He's like, I do this. And I go, no, I mean, like, when you're not doing all of the recruiting, he just is, he grinds like nobody I've ever met in my entire life. I think he's a cyborg. I think he's part human, part machine. He just doesn't stop. And I said, no, when you go home, what do you do? And he's like, no, I keep going. And he's like, until we're where we want to be as a program, I'm not going to stop. And he really is relentless, is the most, and super organized, which again fills a little gap that I have in my life, but he's the most organized guy I've ever met. So
really?
it's I know, hard to believe. I bring other things. Yeah.
Okay,
So
as long as you mentioned that,
Yeah.
we were talking off camera, and I am going to put you on the spot
Sure.
now. You did an
Oh, no.
awesome reason why Nick is the great gap filler for you. So
That's
I want
right.
you to do
Oh,
that
okay. All
impersonation,
right. Well, I
please.
had a bad feeling this might come back. So in Rocky, Adrian's brother says to Rocky, he goes, hey, yo, why do you even like my sister? Why do you like her? And Rocky said, and I'll give the Rocky voice here. Hey, yo, she's got gaps and I got gaps. Together, we fill each other's gaps. And that's basically what Nick does for me. I'm kind of the fun-loving and energy guy, but he's super organized. He's got lots of great energy too, but he's meticulous. He doesn't ever let anything slide. He really just brings a really important part to our program. And honestly, he does so much of what we do. All this stuff that we talked about in the first segment really is just a product of the hard work that he's put in. So I want to make sure that he's getting the lion's share of the credit for all the good things that are happening on our squad.
We're going to have Niels back on just to do a whole Rocky
Medley.
Yeah, I could. That's my favorite. We went around the team and said, "What's your favorite sports movie?" And I said, "All of those answers are wrong because the right answer is Rocky." Yeah. So
talk a little bit about this year's teams.
Yeah.
You know, you've got a lot of youth. You've got some very talented returners, but it's kind of a youth movement for the programs. Talk a little bit about the two programs.
Yeah, so on the men's side right now, we feel really good about where we're at. We really think that we're, fighting for the middle of the MIAC, which that may sound like not a crazy goal, but if you knew that there are 5 teams ranked in the top 25 in the nation in our conference in the men's side, and St. Olaf and Carleton, they're ranked in the top 10, you really realize, gosh, if you get to the middle, you've done something really spectacular. And we really think that we're better than a few teams, and we're obviously not quite at the top 20 to 25 teams in the nation, but we really feel like we're working towards that. We got a great crew. Ben Borash is our one solitary senior, and he's been working through some of those injuries that we're talking about, this little nagging injury. And so he's been in and out of practice in a traditional being able to run every day. But then you have this great group of juniors, Jordan Malakowski, Tanner Morris, and Isaiah Olsom. They're really just the core. Isaiah is actually doing, he's a seminarian. He just joined the seminary. And so he's had to really balance that life with being able to still continue to race and run. But he's been our number one throughout the season so far. Jordan has been looking really good. And then we got a couple of great freshmen that we're really excited about, that they're really going to just build towards and be an important building block for us. And then on the women's side? Yeah, on the women's side, it's really this big group of gals that we're improving constantly. Every single week, we keep seeing evidence that we're progressing. Danielle Frankie's our number one runner. She put in an amazing summer, and really we're hoping that is the impetus from here on out for what it looks like, because she's dropped a minute. When somebody's been running for a really long time, those seconds that you drop are really tough to get to. And she's dropping a minute off of her times from last year to this time. So, you can really see how if you just put in that hard work, there's no secret to distance running. It's just grinding. It's just kind of going, can I move my mileage up? Can I move the intensities up? Can I move these intervals and reps to a new place that I haven't been? Can I hold those throughout the course of a season? And then hopefully at the end, really reap those big rewards. There's no secret play. There's no, hey, we're going to run the Fumble Rooski this week. No, there's nothing like that. It is, the secret is how hard are you willing to work?
We talked in the first segment about the schedule and how it kind of unfolds every other week. Mm-hmm. But I know one of the meets that you do get to compete in every 3-4 years is the National Catholic Invitational at Notre Dame. Talk a little bit about that trip and the importance of it for your teams and really kind of that help in bonding the team together.
I got to run at Notre Dame when I was in college, and what's interesting is I remember all my really great races, and I remember all my really terrible races. And I remember Notre Dame, which was like a really average race. But it's such an iconic place to go to. Before we even got to the race, we did stop by the Touchdown Jesus. And after the race, we were able to go to the grotto and to see the chapel, which isn't a chapel, it's a cathedral. But, so it becomes one of these moments where it was a business trip. We wanted to make sure that we took care of business while we were there. We all ran really well. It was 90 degrees. It was an uncomfortable day to run, but we felt like we came in with a good plan and everybody executed that plan really well. You have a 7-hour drive to make sure that everybody's got the plan figured out, which is, that is something that we could definitely talk about is, it's not just running as hard as you can. It is a plan and executing it and all those kind of things. So to me, that was the success of the day, because 90 degrees in cross country don't go well together. So time, we knew, kind of had to be secondary to racing a particular plan, going out in a certain place in the pack, and then working your way up through the pack. So interestingly, on our men's side, after the first mile, this is a huge invitational, and we were in 19th place. And they have all these little check marks when your bib runs through, and they check where you're at. And then at the 3K, we were in 17th place. At the 6K was the next one, and we were in 15th, and we ended up in 14th place, which was, we were actually really, really thrilled with that. So, and then the women did the same thing. They started in, kind of towards the back, and then they just checked off a few teams along the way. So that is a nice reflection of our training, that it's working, and also that they executed a plan. When it's really hot, you got to modify how you start and what you're trying to accomplish. So really that trip serves a whole lot of ideas for us. It's something that's going to be memorable for their entire life. They won't really honestly remember how well they ran in 10, 15 years, but they'll remember the places that they got to go to and the people that they got to be with. And also it's really great for our recruiting to be able to tell recruits, hey, this is something we want to do more than every 3 to 4 years. We want to do it every year, honestly. It's something that we want to really build towards. That it's not always Notre Dame, but we want to take one trip that kind of is cemented in their memories. And then when it's time for them to give back to that, they'll go, I want the people that are there now to experience the things that were so meaningful to me.
Niels, less than a minute left here. This weekend, the Drews Neubauer Invitational.
Yeah.
It's your last one before the conference.
Yeah,
right?
it's a monster meet. And the crazy thing is it's the meet of the week in Division III in all of cross country. There's hundreds of teams. This is the meet. Everybody goes to it. It's a great, so we'll see our MIAC schools, we'll see the WIAC schools, we'll see people from Illinois, all over the place come to this meet for the best competition. So we'll really get a nice feel for where we sit in the region, where we sit in the conference.
The meat of the week sounds like my cookbook.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, Niels, thanks for being on the show. Can you come back next week and the week
Sure.
after that?
Yeah, well, yeah, we'll see. Yeah.
So,
always happy to be here.
Good luck here this weekend and at the conferences.
Great. Thank you.
All right. That's going to do it for this week's Cardinals Nest. Thanks for watching here on HBC.
Everyone will know the truth. There will be enlightenment for all. The unseen will be seen.
This is fantastic.
Never stop searching for the truth.
The quest for extraterrestrial life has been a lifelong one.
There is a greater reality in which we exist.
Ancient Aliens. All new Fridays at 9 on History.
Hello? Anyone back here?
I felt this overwhelming, get out, get out.
What the hell?
High-speed internet from HBC is fast. Crazy fast. Experience crazy fast internet speeds from HBC with reliable downloads up to 1 gig. Now you can surf, stream, game, chill with speed to spare. And our GigaHome Wi-Fi whole home solution keeps it fast. Here, there, everywhere in your home. Accelerate your internet. Contact HBC and upgrade to one of our crazy fast speeds today.
Every Monday,
I'm doing it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
we're doing it.
I love this.
New towns,
I'm doing this. I'd do 4 on it.
I'll do 5.
All right, we're doing it. Let's just get crazy and do it.
new picks,
We doing it? I think we're doing it. Whoa. Doing it? All right, we're doing it. All right.
new deals.
I would do like 28 on it.
I think that's fair.
Are we doing that?
We're doing it.
American Pickers, we're doing it. Mondays at 9.